We back home. All right, so brief little hiccup. We back on. So again, you say that you refuse to allow somebody, especially an older individual, to mislead a younger man, and why?
Or younger individuals to mislead another younger brother.
Okay,
You know
okay.
what I mean?
Why?
Because I was being misled and taking the wrong paths as a youngster without having a father in my. I never had a father figure in my life. You know what I mean?
How
I
old were
never
you?
had my father.
How old were you when you left?
When I went to prison,
When you was
I was
coming?
I was 19.
You was 19.
19. I was
Was
a baby.
was you a part of a gang or anything?
I was a part of a gang. I was from 29th Street.
Did you
And that gang became my family, my brothers, those people that I considered as family and those that I felt loved.
what embraced you? Like what caused you to decide that you was gonna become a part of that gang? Is there a memorable experience that caused you to feel like
I, we
this is
all
where I'm from?
we all grew up together, elementary, playing in the parks, you know what I mean,
Yep.
and all that. So we just became close, right? And in that closeness, we formulated a bond and made a pact to be there and committed to each other.
So it was environmental factors. The fact that this is where I grew up. These are my friends. This is what This is what we believe in, and now we gonna stand for this.
All the time, because one thing is for certain, man. We all want to follow something, and we all want to be a part of something.
Okay.
And if it's not, and that's where we talk about environment. If it's not something positive, we'll take the negative.
Okay.
Because in
That's
our
true.
environment, negative, right,
Yeah.
is supported.
True.
So the things that I did in my community, I got praised for, but they were against the law. And the more I got praised for it, and the more I got the reputation for doing the things that I was doing, which wasn't pretty, it made me want to do it more.
So it motivated you.
It motivated you. It became me. I lost who I truly was. I lost who John was that my mother raised and became Dooney.
Okay. Is that where you inherited the name back in those days?
I did hear the name. It was a childhood name, but the character of John is different than the character of Dooney, because Dooney could be one way at home
Okay.
and a total different animal in the streets.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And we be thinking, oh, our kids is, our kids is doing good. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
Was you out in the streets with him?
Right. So you don't really know who he is
No.
outside of those
You don't
doors.
know who or she. All you know what you raised, so you know what's in them. You know the foundation you get,
Okay.
the morals, the values, and principles. But that's in the house. That's in the family structure. Outside, it's a total different animal. It's
Yeah.
about survival.
Yeah.
And it's about wanting to be accepted. And the sad thing is, to be accepted and to be a part of something, you might do anything. I mean, literally anything to be accepted and to be a part of something and to be praised by your peers.
So I have a question for you. With that being said, because that's very true, I agree 100%. Again, environmental factors make all the difference. The question I now have for you is, how do we avoid another individual, or another young man, or another young lady from being pressured like that and taking that turn that's going to ultimately make them who you were?
Exposure is everything. There again, it comes back to environment.
Okay.
If I'm no longer around this community that's doing all the criminal activity, that's plagued with drugs and crime, I'm less apt to do it.
Okay.
So with like now, where I stand now, I'd rather be broke and live somewhere to expose my kids to something different, a different element, right? So they can succeed instead of being poor and living in this environment, right? And exposing these kids to what's happening in these city streets. So exposure is everything. Instead of me going to a house party, possibly with guns, and with friends, looking for whatever that comes our way, and willing to do whatever to take care of whatever that comes our way. I now take my grandson to the park. I take him to the museum. I take him to the beach. You know what I mean? I take him around business environment. I take him and expose him to different things. When you know different, you're apt to do different. It goes the saying, if you know better, you do better. You know what I mean? So exposure is everything.
So you're this grandfather and you're this role model for the kids that are in your environment, in your circle, capable of reaching you. What about the kids? What do you say to the kids who don't have Dooney around? They only have themselves around. They don't have a John around to go to, and then John gives them that legible advice. How do they build it in themselves to avoid that circumstance?
Understand that they're worthy of better. They must know that they're worthy of better, and it must be drilled into them. Even if they have to drill into themselves, self-talk is everything. Self-talk can make you a president. Self-talk can have you sitting on death row for murder. So you teach them with positive self-talk. They must know that they're worthy of better, that they deserve better, that they're young kings and young queens, that they're princes right now and princesses that's destined to become kings and queens, that you're not just a nobody. You know what I mean? They have to know that they are better than what people expect them to be.
So look, I'm aware of you having a numerous amount of talent: singing, sports, overall athleticism, writing, rapping. How do you influence a kid out there to tap into his innate ability so that skill set itself that's wired in him or her is what keep him from the street? Like, how do you influence them to say, I'm going to trust myself so much that I'm going to be bored today and go train, practice, sing, whatever it is? Like, what can you tell them? Because you discovered yourself way back then, but you discovered more about yourself when you was away, right?
Right.
So how did you tap into that? Now, how do you relate that experience to out here so that they don't have to be in there to discover themselves?
Well, one thing, it takes courage.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Courage is everything. Courage to say that I won't or I will do the right thing, right? And it seems simple, but it's the hardest thing for human beings to do, is to not succumb to peer pressure, right?
Right.
So what I encourage my students to do, because I work at 3 different schools right now.
Okay.
And I encourage them to find out what it is that they want to do and what they want to become.
Okay.
And to stay on that path no matter what no one says, to become that in which they want to become. Don't allow anyone to deter you from becoming it. I got students, I ask them all the time. Kids sometimes, the majority of them know what they want to be. And their thoughts or ideas for professions may change, but you go with where they at. I have students that say, I want to be a doctor. That's what I label.
So they say, you ask them what they want to do, and they say, I want to be a doctor. So now from this day forward, your name is Dr. Jane Doe or Dr. John Doe.
Exactly. We brand them. We brand ourselves. But we be no brain. We be insane. We be loco. We be crazy blood. We be all these things. And we live up to that.
Correct. Right.
Well, it's the same thing where we talked about the negative and positive.
Yeah.
Well, what about doctor?
Right.
What about president?
Right.
What about judge?
That's a good one right there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And once they tap into what they want to be, man, they just gotta
live by it.
Yeah, you have to live by it. You have to, yeah, and you have to surround yourself around people that you want to be like.
Right.
You have to.
So, going back into your prison term, and while you were there, just off the top of your head, what was one of the most despairing moments of your stay?
I would have to say my third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh board hearing being denied at the parole board.
What is a board hearing?
A board hearing is where you have a life term, and then you have to go before a board, the parole board, in order to be found suitable for parole.
Okay.
And that denial, like knowing that I've did a lot of growing and a lot of changing and what I can possibly bring to my community, my hurt came from me not being able to get out to go back to my community and do the things that I know I was capable of doing.
And so you were denied 6, 7, 8 times.
Seven
Okay,
times.
7 times. And what was their grounds for denying?
I would hear things like, "We know you're ready.
No,
We know you're ready, but you just need a little more time." And I'd ask, "What do you need me to do?" "There's nothing you can do. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're not like the rest of those. You're gonna go
So,
just one more year."
and that's crazy. So, your first board hearing came after how many years had you been incarcerated?
9 years.
9 years.
9 years. 9 years, 8 months.
So so basically 10 years,
Yeah.
11 years,
29 years.
12 years.
29 years of age, I went to my first board.
Wow. And what did you feel when they would do you get your denial right then and there? Or
They
did it come
deny you
around?
right there at the board. They deny you right there. They go out, they have the decision after your hearing, which is usually lasts 2-3 hours. Mine was sometime lasting 4 hours.
So this is like a deliberation period
Yes.
that they're deliberating on your
Yes.
freedom?
They go deliberate and they come back with their decision.
And they would tell you, keep doing whatever it is that you've been doing, that's fine. One more year.
One more year.
And so that was a consecutive 6, 7 years
Yeah.
of denials.
It could have been, well, it could be from 3, it went from 1 to 5 years. You can get a 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5 year denial to a 3, 5, 7, 10, or 15-year denial.
So you can be denied
15
For
years, 10
15
years,
years.
7 years at each boarding.
So in those denials, let's say you had 7 denials. On the 7th denial, did you ever just want to say, and we gonna talk straight talk, so did you ever just to yourself say, fuck it, it's on. Whatever the problem is, I'm gonna be the problem.
No.
What was your
No.
mindset?
Because what happened in that board hearing didn't determine who I was or what I was going to do. I was doing what I was doing and changing and growing because that's what I wanted to do. If
So
it
you
paid off in the board, I wasn't doing what I was doing for the board of prison terms. I was doing what I was doing because of my love for my family, love for my community, and love for myself, and most importantly, my love for God, bro.
So
You know
this
what I
was
mean?
never a fraud. This is what you
No.
really becoming, what you had become, and where you was going on your own. Had
Right.
nothing to do with these people who were going to judge you. Rather, you can go home or continue to stay.
That's
in
what
this
hurt.
place.
That's what hurt because I knew I've changed, I knew I've grown, and I've showed them that, but repeatedly get denied. But the denial was for a reason, bro. Everything happens. Even the 30 years, bro. The 7 denials, all that was God, bro. My work wasn't done where I was at, bro. My work wasn't done where I was at. I'm proud to say, man, I walked 9 different prison yards, man. There was not one riot with African Americans in not one yard I was on, bro.
So
I was God's soldiers on them yards, bro.
would you say that you was an influence on the prison yards that you had stayed on and had been on?
I guess you can call it influence.
What
but
kind of influence were you?
a positive influence because I never got caught up into the racial things that plague prisons. When you think about prison, you think about throwback to the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The segregation is alive and well in prison.
Currently today,
Right?
still today,
Still today.
2019, there's still
Still going on.
segregation. Why?
Still going on. Because first, the prison allows it in California. And second of all, because of games. And people, it started off to be a good thing, but it turned out to be something negative,
What started off to be a good thing?
where they separated the races and whatever, right?
Okay.
But that was those people's thinking that was in prison at that time.
Okay.
When people like myself come through, I'm a forward thinker. I don't believe in being segregated from nobody and nothing.
Did you ever have any white friends or Mexican or?
Everything. That's what gave me the, I guess, influence that I had, because everyone knew I played straight, bro. Everyone knew that if I said this happened, that happened. So I can go to any race and I can diffuse a situation, because first of all, if I'm wrong, I accept my wrong. If my people wrong, we deal with our own people. And we like, you wrong. You know what I mean? And a lot of my confrontations in prison came from me telling the cat, you not right, bro, you wrong. Right? Right? I love you, but you wrong.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean, if I love you, I got to tell you the truth. Right? And oftentimes, you know, that's why this stuff is still perpetuated, still going on to this day, because even though it's negative, people still support the negative. And I just chose not to, and everyone knew that.
So I have another question for you. So, without naming names, just for the sake of, you know, you still been on parole and somebody trying to use that to count against your freedom or whatever, was there any correctional officers, was there anybody who was an employee by the state who had you wrong? They thought they knew you, they thought you was just this bad guy. And
There was a lot of people like that. But then there was a lot of people like, and I never did titles. I don't do CO, I don't do sergeant, I don't do warden, I don't do lieutenant, I don't do prisoner, I don't do convict, I don't do nothing. I do people.
Okay, people, okay.
You know what I mean?
So we gonna
Because-
get this clear.
Right.
You just a person in a uniform, or
Period.
you a person in a uniform. It's one or the
Period.
other.
Green or
Okay.
blue, it doesn't
Green
matter.
or blue, you in uniform.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of people that sat back and watched me, watched my mannerism, my body language,
Okay.
and took it for whatever they wanted to take it. Take it for whatever they wanted to take it as, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had COs that had the courage to come up and speak to me and talk to me and actually get to know who I was, the man that I truly am, from straight from my mouth, right?
So without them having that courage, what do you think their perception of you was? Just based on your demeanor, based on your physical stature, just looking at you, what do you think their belief system and perception was of you and about you?
That I was trouble. But that's the perception of most black men. My thing was, remember what I said earlier, never be what those expect you to be. You know what I mean? So this person expected me to be an animal. I'm gonna show him humanity. I'm gonna show him a man.
So you're gonna show them a man.
All the time. You know what I mean? I'm never gonna let someone label me, ever. You know, I am who I am. And I stand on my morals, my values, and my principles, bro. I'm a man of integrity, bro. So, and that's something no one can take from you. You have to give that. You have to sacrifice that.
Give me your definition of a man of integrity.
Someone that does in the dark what he do in the light.
Well said.
Someone
Well said.
that's true and authentic all the time.
So I'm not gonna hide anything.
No.
No subliminal. This is who I am.
Raw and uncut.
Raw and uncut.
Accept me, reject me. This is who I am.
You don't reject me.
You know?
This is who I am. Huh?
I'm not saying that I'm not willing to change and grow. You know, I'm always willing to change and grow. But that certain thing, like I said, my morals, my values, and my principles, and my integrity is never to be compromised for nothing. For no.
What do you feel your greatest battle ahead of your life right now will be?
As I look at our generations now, it was bad back in the 80s, But at least we had, if we didn't have our fathers, at least we had our mothers. Right? These kids, a lot of these kids don't even have their mothers, bro. They're being raised by their grandparents, bro. And for me, I'm optimistic. I'm a dreamer, and I see more for our people. But I know it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to repair the damage that's been done to a lot of these kids. But I understand that it can be done.
So
it can be discouraging at times.
yeah, I kind of at points, I ask this question to a lot of people, especially the older generation, occasionally the younger generation, to get the versions of the different versions of understanding. And I'm gonna ask you the same question. Do you feel, and I'm gonna go to our culture, you know, black people, for just a moment. Do you feel that black people are hopeless as far as success, as far as just fairness in this life? Real quick, last night I went to a meeting. It's a black development group, and a lady said, I haven't had the opportunity to research it, but you know, it sounded a little bit accurate. She said that there's some type of poll out, and at some point you can Google it, look it up for yourself, research it. She said there's some type of poll out where it says that in the year 2053, black people will have zero, success, if you will, like as far as like financial wealth. We would have that. So that in itself says to me hopeless, right? Because it takes away from everything that we have, own, aspire to have, so forth. So do you feel that black people are hopeless with the way life is set up for black people right now? And if not, what is it going to take to bring us out of hopelessness?
I think right now, as a people, a lot of us are hopeless. Because it seems like we're up against the world. You know what I mean?
Are we up against the world?
I believe that we are. Because we're looked at as a certain way. We looked at in a certain way.
Okay.
And a lot of people fear us.
Why?
Genetics. We have things that no other man has. And I say to my wife, we like roaches, right? You can stump us and try to kill us and try to keep us in the corner and all that, right? When we come back up out that thing, you know what I mean?
We come out in the dark and get what we need.
We're survivors, man, but as a people, we lost a sense of self. We have really no culture. Hip hop is not a culture.
Yeah.
Right? We lost our foundation as a people. We lost our language. We lost our culture. We lost our heritage. We lost everything, right? So I see there's generation of the lost when it comes to African Americans, but I'm so hopeful because it's men like yourself, right? And other brothers and sisters that I've met that's making sure that the young is growing up with hope. And I'm very optimistic about the future, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I look at the kids now, bro, and they want better. And they're striving for better. And I have a part in that.
Yeah.
I got 3 schools, bro. I get to raise, right? Like I said, kings and queens, bro. You know.
Yeah.
And children, because of media, it's a lot of bad things with media. They want to make it a bad thing, but kids are being exposed to different races, different classes, and they're not allowing their parents to dictate the information that they receive and how they feel about a certain person.
Okay.
In the past, we didn't have media, so the kids couldn't get up and say, meet this black guy online and meet this Hispanic or meet this white or whoever. They was allowed in the past to just have them in the home and teach them what they wanted to teach them,
Right.
to brainwash them into the hatred. into the bigotry, into all these things, right?
Yeah.
But kids are no longer just being taught by their parents. They're being taught by the environment, social media. And I think that's going to make all the difference in the world. Because I'm with kids from first grade to ninth grade. And my heart is happy doing that work because I'm so, I get to, I'm so elated to what the future is.
Okay.
That's why I'm trying to stay healthy because I want to be a part of it. I want to see it, bro. When my grandkids and your kids grow up to be presidents and doctors and lawyers and all that, bro, I want to be a part of that, man. I think that's a lie. Whatever that poll said, that's a lie, bro.
So you are optimistic for our
sure.
future. So we're not hopeless.
That's to say I don't believe in the kids, bro. I don't believe in. They're not the future. They're the present. They're right now, bro. It's the biggest lie they tell kids, that you're the future. They want to hold you off. No, you're the present. You make things happen right now. Right now.
Okay.
And I just believe that it'll be a lot better in the future for our people.
So.
And being honest,
Mm-hmm.
everything we touch turned black, bro. How many people we've been in touch? About what year they said that was?
2053.
Now imagine how many black people been in touch to everything by that time.
And for those who are hopeless, I know we've already went over it. Again, what do you feel like they need to do to come out of that hopelessness?
Hang on, man.
Just hang on.
I was to God, bro. God is everything, bro. You have to have a foundation. My foundation is God, bro. When all else fails me, God never fails me, bro.
Okay.
And I'm grateful and I'm thankful and I'm humble that I'm able to sit there and have this conversation with you. Be grateful for what I got, bro.
Yeah.
I have the ability to speak. I have the ability to walk, to hear, to taste, to experience, to live. And as long as I got that, I got hope. Hope is when you're no longer here. When you pass and you move on. But as long as I'm here and as long as anyone here, all we have is hope. And faith.
So what can we expect from you now that you are a free man and you've been home for a very short and limited amount of time, so there's still a lot of hills that you have to climb. But in your going forward life, what can we expect from you? And is there a way for anybody out there who hears this message to be able to reach you? And can they be free to just talk to you about anything? Like, what can we expect from you going forward? And then can people reach out to you to get just a taste of that hope if they feel like they're hopeless right at this time?
What you can expect from me is that I'll be available to speak to any of those that need to talk to me about anything, bro.
So he's available. He's available.
I live not for self, but for people, bro. If we was meant to be selfish and to be alone, we'd be the only person on this earth. Would be nobody else here, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We nothing without each other, bro.
What do you do in your pastime right now?
I try to spend a lot of time with family, community, trying to get back, into the flow of my music. Speaking through music. I've been offered to write books. People say I should write books.
Based on your experience or just
Based on experience.
life? 30 years is a long time. That's a lot of experience just in that. But there's still many more years before that 30 years
It's a lot
I've been
more.
on the street. So you got street experience, 30 years of prison experience, and now the experience that you have being a full-grown adult man to the point of having grandchildren. Came home a granddaddy.
Right.
Just imagine that, man. You go home. I mean, you go to prison,
As a child.
You go to prison as a child, and you come out a grandfather. That's a lot to think about, man. That's a
But
lot to think about.
I don't regret the 30 years experience that I had in prison, bro. That I don't regret that time because I love the man that I became. And if it wasn't for that experience, I wouldn't be who I am. Who knows where I might be? So, in that experience, it was also a blessing, bro, because it allowed me to take the time to work on self. Because until you help self and get self right, you can't help nobody else, bro.
And you mentioned that you're married. How long have you been married now?
2 years.
What role has your wife played in your life in there while you were incarcerated and then now on the free side?
I talked about kings. For every king, there's a queen, bro. That's my backbone.
Your wife.
That is my confidant. That is my best friend. That is my, she scolds me. She loves me. We talked about that raw and honesty, bro. She kept me grounded. At times when I was weak, she was my strength, bro. She was my strength. There was times where, like we was talking about that denial and getting ready to go to board, where things was coming at me to where it's like, is this really happening? This never happened in 30 years. I mean, in 29 years, now I get ready to go home and get ready to go to board, and all these things happen. She kept me grounded, bro. She kept me strong, man. And I'm always going to be indebted to her for that.
So what do you say to the people? Because I'm going to call it a myth. There's a myth that goes around that when men meet women while they're incarcerated, the man come home and he either don't come home to her, cheats on her, abandon her after all that she sacrificed. What is your message to those people who continue to perpetuate that belief system?
So do your man not leave you on the streets? Do your man not come home to you on the streets? Does he cheat and leave you on the outside? It has to be a man from in prison does that?
Right.
It's
That's
more men on the street that leave you than men in prison that leave a woman when they get out.
That's actually a very good example.
But you just want to point fingers.
Right. So they're going to isolate being left, being abandoned, being cheated on to only those who were in prison. You've been in prison, you about to get worked.
Right.
Only because you've been in prison. There's no good men in prison.
But you've been on the streets for all these years getting worked by a guy on the streets. So what's the difference? It's the choice of man that you choose.
Boy, you just hurt somebody's feelings.
It's not where they at. It's the truth.
Boy, that man just hurt somebody's feelings.
It's the truth.
He just destroyed a whole century of a phenomenon, an example, a
It's
story.
the truth. No.
That man just destroyed everything somebody been living
like
in, somebody's mother.
We want to label something. We want to label people. And it's funny that we talked about that because it's just like we talked about your business.
Right.
And how people try to bring you down because of whatever they may be doing.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Sure, there's two people doing that, but how many people is taking advantage of the service that you provide?
Way more.
There's two people disgruntled.
There's two disgruntled. You can't please them all. Beyond your capacity.
And it's no different
right.
than men on the relationship on the street and in prison.
Okay.
Men are men and women are women. They're people. They're going to do what they do, bro. It's not about where you at physically.
Okay, so now you've been out here. You have an amazing wife, and you guys obviously have a very inspiring relationship, a very tested and proven to be true relationship.
Oh, it's tested every day.
It's been tested and proven true. Going through a prison experience for a woman and for a man because it takes so much trust on both sides.
Right.
It's not isolated to just a woman because she's sacrificing. No, it takes him to be able to build her up to understand him and to trust him. And so he's sacrificing the time, the emotional constraints because he has to prove to her that I'm not the guy that society say that I am. And that you can trust me and that you can lean on me. And when I come home, I'm going to do everything that a man, not what's expected of me coming home from prison, but what a man is supposed to do. And I'm going to put my best foot forward.
As a man, period.
As a man. So then now we have you out and you're in this amazing relationship. You're married, which is a great institution of love. So what have you guys done since you've been home?
Oh my God.
Tell me, give me something.
It's easier to
Tell
say
it
what
to me
we
straight.
It's
Don't tell it
easier
to me
say
later.
what we haven't done. It's easier.
Hey, look, I'd rather spend our time talking about
Bro,
just the inspiration of what y'all have done. Though, 'cause
I've been exposed. My wife has exposed me to so much, bro. I mean, as a kid, I never got on a plane,
so you've been on the plane since you've been home?
man, and ready to go back on it for the third, fourth time, man. You know what I mean? I never left no distance past where my football game or baseball game or soccer game took. You know what I mean? No further than the Bay Area. You know
So
what I
very
mean?
limited. Northern
Yeah.
California.
I'm able
Barely Northern California, too.
Right.
Like just,
to. Right.
you ain't even get close to the South yet.
Right. I went further in prison. I seen more prisons in California than I seen outside in the free world.
So your greatest travel was on the state bus heading to prison. To another prison.
Soledad, Folsom, Soledad. I mean, New Folsom, Susanville, the gamut, man, Vacaville, Solano, San Quentin, the whole gamut. I mean, that was about as much traveling as I did. But since I've been home, man, I've been able to go, man, just take my shoes off, man, and put my feet, take my socks off and put my feet in the sand, bro, and feel what the sand feel like on your feet, bro.
What was that experience
Oh,
like?
Lord. You know, it's humbling, man, to go, to watch the natural wonders of the world. Because like I said, exposure is everything, bro. I stayed trapped in this little community, in this neighborhood, and I didn't see anything outside of that. And I refused to get out of prison to go back to prison and be trapped in that little box again.
Did you ever stop gangbanging?
Oh man, I as soon as when I committed this crime back in 1989, and I went to New Folsom, and I actually had to sit down and say, okay, this is what this get me. I'm good with it, bro.
Was it hard for you to quit? To get out of it?
It's hard because, like anything, man, it takes time to develop this character. So it takes time because it was something that was developed day after day. It was habitual to where it became a party, right? When I say leaving from John to Dooney, right? It took time to transform. So, of course, it's going to take time for me to transform back into the one that my mother raised. But I have that foundation, and I know I can go back to it. And I know that was the best me, bro. I'm not saying everything about gang banging was bad, but I'm saying I can be better.
Okay.
I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with representing your neighborhood, but what are you representing? What do you stand for? What is your purpose?
And how does your neighborhood represent you?
And how does your neighborhood represent the neighborhood?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because there's no difference in the Hells Angels and all them other little rich clubs they got, you know, in Hollywood or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They just choose to do it a different way. And what I chose to do was do it a different way. I'm always going to be forever associated with my neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. I love where I came from because it gave me the grittiness of who I am. It taught me how to survive. And it taught me what love was, but it also taught me what love wasn't, bro. You know what I mean? So, when I turned like 24, 25, I was a kid on a yard with a bunch of like gorillas. I was a little chimp.
Yeah.
And I'm watching how these cats are swinging in this jungle, bro. This concrete jungle. I was like, nah, that could be me right there. That's not gonna be me right there. I want better for myself.
Did you have a lot of friends before you went to prison?
A lot.
Any of those friends stayed in constant contact with you throughout the duration?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, but I have friends from every neighborhood that stayed in contact.
Wow, that's big.
You know what I
there. 'Cause
mean?
you don't hear that a lot, so that says a lot about your character.
But that was the thing. I didn't think it was. When I was start out doing what I was doing, I thought it was family. It turned now into something else, bro. We wasn't terrorizing our communities. We was vanguards of our communities.
Right.
It turned into that. We wasn't breaking bottles and being destructive in our community. Man, we was taking care of our communities, man, and the people in it, everything in it.
So how do you think the twist came about? Because we're definitely now destroying neighborhoods, and then some of the most destroyed neighborhoods are now being gentrified.
A lot of things that start off good take a wrong turn and turn out bad, bro.
Yeah, because
You
that's
know
what
what
it's
I
like.
mean?
It's like it started off good, it went all the way horrible, they let it go horrible, and now we're starting a gentrification process where we're starting to push them out and good coming in. But if we want to call it good, that's their version.
Right.
And then where are they going now? You know, so it's like,
They're going to a different neighborhood. They just don't want it in that neighborhood.
so I don't want you doing it in your neighborhood. I want that neighborhood now.
So why not help them become better and make that neighborhood better and make all neighborhoods better so we won't have to push nobody out of
Push
nowhere.
nobody in there. Everybody can be where they be, and it's just,
Costs a lot less money.
yeah. But you know, it's part of a system that keeps other people
Yes.
rich.
And that's the good thing about brothers like us, bro, and being able to have this platform to speak to our people and speak
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
Because there's a better way. There's a better way, bro. We just have to choose it. And us strong black men, like I said, they took the way that happened is they take the strong men from the community that possibly has that influence and they lock them away and they kill them. Or they become strung out on dope.
What do you think about the guy, because you mentioned strong men that have this influence. What do you think about Tukey Williams?
I believe in redemption, bro. I believe everybody deserves a second chance. Now, there's some people just are monsters, prisoners for some people. You know that.
I do.
There's some people that I don't want living next door to me, or I may go back to prison because he may harm my family or someone in my community. Right? He may prey on me, right? But prison is for some people. But those that show growth, bro, show they change, I believe they deserve another chance, bro.
Do you feel Tukey deserved another chance rather than being executed? To my understanding, he like wrote books. He like really made some strong changes and powerful moves within the community for young adults to try to make
I don't
change.
know him. I don't know him personally,
Yeah,
but
neither do
what I know is I was doing a lot of those same things.
Okay.
Only thing is I had a life sentence and he was on death row.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's like y'all emulated the same
Right.
system.
The same thing.
Now you're here and you're positive, and he's deceased, and he possibly
Exactly.
was you, just on death row.
Right.
So that's the redemption you're talking about.
I mean, I don't believe in throwing away good people, bro.
So I want y'all to be clear about what he just said. He don't know the man. Obviously, neither do I. But they mimicked each other with just a different circumstance. One, a life sentence expected not to come on, and one, a death sentence expected to be executed. And ultimately, his situation was overturned, and he was, granted, a release date. And then Tukey Williams, he was said to be the guy that formulated the Crip gang. He was executed. He met the end of his life in prison by what he was charged with, and so forth. So I don't know, man. I can go on and on about this, man. So is there anything in particular? Cause y'all gotta understand, man. Like, this is me. This is how we normally talk. It
Every
just was
day.
an idea to just record it. But this is how
Right.
we talked way back then. Now just two free black men
It's
that.
funny to see you like that as a grown man, 37 now, bro.
Yeah.
having these same conversations
All these years later.
when you was 17, 18 years old in a prison yard, bro.
Yeah.
And
So-
I'm glad that I was able to be a part of that and to bring something positive to you, bro. Because that time was hard, bro.
It was. It was.
It was hard because it was unjust, and I felt that was unjust.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the only thing that sustained me is being able to give something positive to the young brothers like yourself and to the brothers, man, inside to keep me sane.
Yeah.
And now, when I'm home and I get to see y'all, bro, it makes that journey even more worthwhile, bro.
I just gotta kind of show you guys, man. Like, a lot of y'all don't know my story because I never publicized it, because honestly, I don't think there was the right individual for me to sit down and discuss my life with. But what better person than somebody who I grew a very strong relationship with? Our backs was against the wall together. Like I said, we had many of conversations. There were many of disagreements, but the love always remained the same. And so I'm exposing myself now. You know my story. You know, it's kind of one of those situations that it's
Might
time.
I add a success story?
Yeah, it's time.
Let's put what belongs in front of the story.
Yeah, it's timing, man. And like, for us to be able to be here, like I said, it's been, you know, roughly 15 years since I was released, and the expectation was for me to go back for some of the same things that I did back then. I said now, I said then, the only thing that can ever send me back is somebody violating my household, my family, my children. At that point, I'm left with no other choice. But you know, this dude right here, like, I've known him for many, many years, and it's not many cats that I'll sit down with and publicize my life with, ask them these type of questions, other than somebody who's, in my opinion, I call it, it's almost like meat. It's been certified, you know? And so, you know, we sit here now, man, just under this tree in this free world, man, just having a conversation, and none of this was premeditated. This is just a phone that's recording. But none of this was premeditated, man. This was just us just talking real life with each other, catching up, and I hear so much in him, and I feel like I don't want that meat to be wasted. I want it to go on somebody's skillet and pan-sear it, put some flavor to it, and edify you and put nutrition into you. So that's the opportunity I wanted to take today. And so with that, is there anything that you want to say to anybody, youth, woman, man? Is there any message that you want to leave behind with anybody and for anyone? And this ain't the last time we gonna talk, y'all, because there's a whole lot of greatness ahead, but I'm gonna leave him with the last words.
Kiss my ass. That's what I want to say.
Man.
To all of those that didn't believe, man, that redemption is possible and change is possible, and those that want to keep their foot on the neck of those who they feel are lesser than them when we're all equal.
Wow.
Success is a choice, as is failures. But failures are stepping stones to succeeding and to success. I say keep stepping, man. Man, woman, child. Cling on to that faith and that hope. Never give up. Only you control your destiny. And only you.
So that's that, man. To add to what he just said, I'm gonna give y'all something that I once heard somebody say, a motivational speaker. He said, there are three type of people in this world, right? There are those who sit back and watch things happen. There are those who don't know what happened, and then there are those who make things happen. Don't be the person that don't know what happened.
Right.
To be a part of something, man, to fall for anything, man.
Right.
So that's that, man. Hope this motivated one of you guys or all of you guys. And is there a way for people to reach out to you, to contact you? Do you have a social media? Do you have any way, an outlet for somebody to be able to reach you?
I'm supposed to be putting together a Facebook page strictly for open line of communication. But for now, they can contact me at Dooney, JWW, on Facebook.
Dooney, JWW on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, look him up at Dooney, JWW. Can you spell Dooney for him so they'll make sure they have that right?
DUNIE, JWW.
Y'all got it, man. So y'all heard it live and direct. Man, a free man now, 30 years. Never mind them little numbers. He said, 29 years, 8 months, 6 days, 9 hours, 30 goddamn years, man.
Yeah.
That's all of your life. That's probably your dad's life. You know what I mean? So.
But the best part of it is the second half, when you understand what life is truly about, bro.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
He on his second half, man. So expect great things, man. Like, go check him out. Go to his Facebook, add him, follow him. He's pretty public, man. So go find him, man. And hopefully you find your redemption if you in a place of being lost. So that's that. We kind of put this together literally last minute. And it was just something we were just sitting here talking about it.
And look at Ryan.